China has condemned visible human rights attorney Van Quanzhang to 4 persons and a part year in jail for country subversive activity. Van, 42, had protected policy campaigners and victims of earth seizures, as followers of the prohibited religious Falun Gong motion. He was one of several lawyers and activists detained in a 2015 crackdown, and the recent to-go-on test. China has strengthened its proceedings of rights lawyers in latter year. Mr. Van was found those guilty of subverting country force, condemned to 4 persons year and 6 months in jail, and devoid of policy rights for 5 years, the trial in Tianjin told. The test had been carried out over closed doors in journalists and overseas diplomatic corps prohibited of incoming the court building. Reuters news story agent accountable how Van fired his country-appointed attorney for the transactions. Van's woman, Li Wenzu, was as well prohibited of visiting and restricted to her household in Beijing. A indefatigable defend of his instance, she has shaved her chief in outcry versus his arrest and archive close weekly petitions to China's highest trial. In April, police force intercepted Ms. Li following she began a 100-kilometer, 62-mi, march inviting for her man's produce. She was violently refundable to Beijing and located by interim building detention in her 5-year-old child. Following the sentence, Ms. Li tweeted, "Van Quanzhang is not those guilty, the social proceedings law is those guilty." Van Quanzhang had disappeared so fully in a legislative dark opening, how for lot of the history 3 and part year, his household did not aware if he was live or corpse. He was rejected household visits and rejected the order to designate his own attorney. Maybe same D been severely injured, such who knew him wondered. Or maybe, versus all the prospect, he was once operating to conduct out, refusal the blood pressure, and maybe the torment too much, and refusal to confess. Some lawyers trapped up in the identical 2015 crackdown, include with been machined, condemned and condemned. Everything the cause for the latency in Mr. Van's instance, his short 8-day test was eventually detained over closed doors above Yuletide. He has been found those guilty for lot the identical cause, his attempts to use the email of the China law to conduct the authorities to expense in their own communistic side-run courts. As the side has been manufacturing precise in latter year, it sees concepts such as constitutionalism and an freelance court framework as hazardous West ideals. Mr. Van's destiny is potential designed to strengthen how scary communication. This rights defense and more extensive civilian community society in China is fairly offended. For several period now they include rallied about Van Quanzhang and his woman Li Wenzu as symbolical of both of misuse and impedance by Xi Jinping, he told following the sentence. Mr. Foundry told how this UN work team on random arrest has found how Van's arrest is random, that tool how by world law he should never include Florida test in the at first location, and so apparently should never include Florida any long of verdict. Rights groups include convicted the test in pardon world inviting it a fictitious and the sentence a total inequity. It's shocking how Van Quanzhang is creature punished for peaceably permanent up for humane rights in China, pardon China investigator Dorian Law told in a declaration. China's crackdown on lawyers, named as the 709 crackdown since it began on July 9, has been seen by activists as a mark of an increasing intolerance of disagreement by CEO Xi Jinping. More than rather than 200 human beings were arrested in Haobroom, in lot taking into account prison regulation, hanging sentences or building detention.